This is
Almost 50 years ago, the last congressional hearings into MK took place just a short walk from here in the Dirksen Senate Office Building. At those hearings, convened in August and September of 1977, representatives of the CIA told Congress and the American people that its 25-year effort to control human behavior had been a colossal failure. Because I believe Congress was never told the truth about what this program actually achieved. In fact, I believe the agency misled Congress in 1977 when it characterized MK as a failure. My name is Tom O'Neill, and in 1999, I accepted a magazine assignment to write a story about murders committed by a group of hippies called the Manson family. For those unfamiliar with this horrific episode of American history, in the summer of 1969, 4 young people, acting on the orders of a cult leader named Charles Manson, went to the home of movie director Roman Polanski and murdered everyone they found there, including his 8.5-month pregnant wife, the actress Sharon Tate. The victims were complete strangers to their killers. The following night, Manson's followers murdered another couple in the same grisly fashion. At the time I accepted the assignment, I'd never heard of MK and I wouldn't for another 2 years after I'd missed countless deadlines, lost the assignment, and fallen down a nightmarish rabbit hole trying to answer the question I couldn't quite shake. How had Manson, a barely literate ex-con, acquired the ability to persuade ordinary young people to murder complete strangers simply because he had told them to?
I don't know. A lot of people say that they knew him in high school and he was already doing weird shit where he had this weird power over people. He could convince them to do shit. Charlie Manson always had some kind of weird charisma with people. Certain people are attracted to cult leaders. I mean, look at some people think that Donald Trump was telling the truth when it came to Melania coin. Like me, I just think Donald Trump's never told a lie. Melania coin is the most important financial tool for the future prosperity of America. If you believe that Donald Trump is a truthful human being, is someone who always tells the truth, and that he's a man of God and of moral fabric, then you would fall for the Manson. You'd definitely fall for Charles Manson. 100% you'd fall for it.
The pursuit of the answer to that question led me to Dr. Louis Jolyon West, known to his friends as Jolly. West was one of the most influential psychiatrists in America. During his career, he crossed paths with some of the most controversial events of the 20th century, including the Patty Hearst kidnapping case and the aftermath of the John F. Kennedy assassination investigation. In 1977, West was one of 7 academic researchers named in a front-page New York Times story alleging that the CIA had used American universities, hospitals, and prisons as secret laboratories for experiments involving LSD and other drugs on unwitting human subjects. West vigorously denied the allegations. He acknowledged that the agency had approached him, but insisted he had refused because he said LSD was too dangerous.
Man, I listened to that record once. I have actually listened to Manson. My friend had the LP when I was a kid. We listened to it. We thought it was like, oh yeah, man, fucking Manson's music.
And unpredictable to be used on humans. He added that he limited all of his research with LSD to animals. The revelations in the Times led directly to the congressional hearings held later that year. West's denials, however, were effective. He was never investigated, and his name never came up at the hearings. I'll spare you the long and tedious story of how my Manson reporting led me to West, except to say that I eventually learned that in 1967, when Manson transformed into the cult leader we are familiar with today, he and his followers were receiving free medical care at a clinic in San Francisco, where West had established a base of operations for a research project he was conducting nearby. After becoming intrigued by the allegations against West, I learned that UCLA, his last academic home, had inherited his paper following his death in 1999. Nearly 2 months and more than 200 boxes later, I found the proverbial needle in a haystack. Correspondence between West and Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, the architect of MK Ultra. The letters begin in 1953, just 2 months after CIA Director Allen Dulles authorized the program, and while West was stationed at the Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, where he was chief psychiatrist at the base hospital. In his first letter to Gottlieb, West proposed conducting experiments on unwitting human subjects, including military personnel, prisoners, and psychiatric patients at the base hospital. He then outlined the experiments themselves in 6 more pages that could have been written by Joseph Mengele.
Joseph Mengele. You mean to tell me that America was involved in Nazi shit? America? Doing Nazi stuff like Dr. Mengele? What do you, not our boys, not our guys. We never did shit like that.
LSD in combination with hypnosis, West proposed inducing confusion, amnesia, and specific mental disorders in people who would remember nothing of their interaction with him afterward. He sought to develop techniques to extract true information and implant false information in unwilling subjects and to alter the attitudes and beliefs of, quote, previously loyal individuals. In other words, to completely switch their allegiance from one group or leader to another. But it was another sentence at the end of that letter that stopped me cold. These experiments, he wrote, must eventually be put to test in practical trials in the field. Gottlieb's response could hardly have been more enthusiastic. My good friend, he wrote, I had been wondering whether your apparent rapid and comprehensive grasp of our problems could possibly be real. You have indeed developed an admirably accurate picture of exactly what we are after. West
Come
replied that there
on.
was no more vital undertaking
Am I supposed to believe that the Manson murders were MK Ultra zombie murderers?
conceivable in these times. There was another document in West papers that had even more significant implications. It was a 14-page report that West wrote
But why did they go after Roman Polanski's house?
in 1956, just 3 years after he contracted with the CIA. In the report, West described administering LSD and other drugs in conjunction with hypnosis on unwitting human subjects, and then he made a remarkable claim. He announced that he had learned how to replace true memories with false memories in people without their knowledge. In other words, he clarified, it has been found to be feasible to take the memory of a definite event in the life of an individual and through hypnotic suggestion bring about the subsequent conscious recall to the effect that this event never actually took place, but that a different fictional event actually did occur. If West's report was accurate, this was not the failure agency officials described in 1977, quite the opposite. It was, in fact, the central ambition of the MKUltra operation, the means of gaining the ability to seize the control of a person's perceptions, memories, and ultimately...
Okay, but it's a stretch to say the CIA did Manson murders. Like, what's the motive? Just to test this shit out? Is that the motive? We're all living on a compound together. This is like classic cult stuff. I mean, are you going to say that that Keith Raniere and Jonestown, all that's the CIA, all that's MK Ultra? Like all this stuff about cults and all the cults we have in America. We have so many cults in America. Cults are very popular in America. Not all of them are crazy murder cults. Most of them are kind of sex cults or religious cults. We got lots of cults. We got lots of self-help cults. We got lots of cults in America. Every corporation's a cult. We love cults here. Our politics are built around the cult of personality. We love cults. You're going to tell me that because some of these cults did really nasty things, that was the CIA?
Their behavior. But there was still one more discovery, and this time I found it in the National Security Archives at George Washington University, the official repository of the CIA's MKUltra records, which were released to Congress after the 1977 hearings. In those holdings was a different versions of West's 1956 report. The original paper had been replaced by a 4-page summary that did not exist in West files and appears to have been written by someone else. His claims about replacing memories were gone. In their place was a theoretical discussion of LSD in dissociative states. The versions applied to Congress concluded that the effects of LSD and similar drugs on dissociative states had, and I'm quoting, never been studied. Never been studied. In the original report, West discusses observations from his own experiments, including detailed descriptions of using LSD to, as he wrote, speed the induction of the hypnotic state and deepen the trance in subjects. Those passages have been removed in the report turned over to Congress. The discrepancy could not have been more stark.
Not Ruby. You're thinking probably of the Waco, Texas, the Branch Davidians. Yeah, they always think they're it's always somebody claiming to be Jesus. They all want to be Jesus.
Nearly 50 years ago, another congressional committee believed it had been given the truth about MKUltra. It had not. In conclusion, I respectfully submit that these records, some newly available and others that remained outside the government.
You're telling me that the Branch Davidians were not? I mean, maybe the Branch Davidians were. I mean, anything's up. I don't know about. Wasn't the Ruby Ridge? Wasn't that just a family with a sawed-off shotgun? Weren't they just like? What happened to Ruby Ridge? Who were they? I don't remember that. I remember it happening. 11-day siege in Idaho. As a family involved was the Weavers, Randy and Vicky, along with their children, and a family friend. They were white separatist survivalists. They attempted to arrest Randy for illegal firearms. Yeah, leading to a shootout that resulted in the death of the 14-year-old son and the wife. It was mostly a sawed-off shotgun, illegal sawed-off shotguns. ATF were sent to retrieve them. Due to a missing communication about the court date, he failed to appear, and federal warrants were issued. All for an FTA? That's so messed up. U.S. Marshals in camouflage scouted the Weavers' property. A firefight broke out between the Marshals, and they killed, after an 11-day standoff. Ruby Ridge, a lot of murder and conspiracy. Randy Weaver was acquitted of all murder and conspiracy charges, serving only a brief sentence for initial firearms violation and failure to appear. His FDA still got him in the end. The Weaver family later received a multi-million-dollar wrongful death settlement from the federal government. Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't have killed those guys. That was crazy. Ruby Ridge. I mean, white separatists. I mean, I'm not going to cry when fascists die. I don't care for racists, but like the government going in and killing the wife and the kid is fucked up. For what? For what? For the firearms charge because they had sawed-off shotguns? Come on.
disclosure for decades warrant a thorough reexamination of what the program accomplished, what Congress.
Yeah, in Waco, Texas, the Branch Davidians, that was David Koresh. I remember that one very vividly. That was a Christian sex cult. That was a sex cult, Christian sex cult.
Was told and what may still remain hidden. I'm happy to provide the documents I've referenced today, and I've provided many additional details in my written testimony.